Welcome everyone to yet another wrestling show on YouTube. I'm a quirky British guy, and I have weird things that I say like woozle wazzle and bizzle bazzle. Fucking hell, could you imagine if I actually talked like that the entire time? It baffles me where these people get the energy from. They must tank like 12 Red Bull or some shit like that before they start this stuff. But no, I don't talk like that. This is actually how I'll be talking to you, just, like a normal human being. This is extra credit from Wrestling Community College, a project that me and my friend Ryan have. It's a podcast, actually. I'm calling it a project like it's some sort of a huge initiative. It's just a podcast. This is kind of an offshoot of that podcast. It's just an opportunity for me to talk to you about something that kind of has been bothering me or does bother me. And this is it. This is the thing I'm going to be talking to you about, as you can see there. Right, the IC title is being wasted. Where to start with this? I guess the place where any story begins is the beginning. The IC title is, let's say, in my eyes, it's always been a prestige belt. It's a belt that's very exciting to follow. People who win it often go on to bigger and better things, and that inherently is part of the attraction of seeing people ascend to a status of Intercontinental champion. It's been held by so many big names like Razor Ramon, HBK, Jeff Jarrett won it a bunch of times, even though history seems to have forgotten that. China won it, the first woman to win a men's belt. Y2J, the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time, 9 times. Then there was Edge, RVD, Miz, all these other people who just kind of ascended to a higher level via this belt. And this belt represented that for a lot of people. It was the belt that, by all accounts, was more interesting than the world title, because the world title was an established picture and always has been. It's a place where people run up the ranks, classically speaking, to a place where they're main eventers. But with the Intercontinental Championship, it's kind of like, it's a situation where people can come out of nowhere, come out of left field, and become that kind of status. And that is something that I've always liked about the IC title, and the reason that it's always been one of my favorite belts, at least up until recently. So it's kind of sad, because especially now, the Intercontinental title is more important than ever. It, as like a belt on Raw, is essentially the only belt on Raw, because if they continue with this kind of scarcity approach that they have to the Universal Championship, the manner in which Brock Lesnar holds the title, where he only defends it like once a year if you're lucky, like, you need another belt that holds up the rest of the show, and the IC title is perfect for that. It should be the belt of Raw, basically, because there is no other belt as far as we're concerned, since we don't see the Universal title any other time. We see it, like I said, a few times a year at best. So the IC title is as important as ever, but it's for some reason undervalued. It's not taken seriously. So I did a little bit of research actually on this. So I'm gonna get my little pad out. I made a note of all of the times that the IC title has been defended in 2017. It was 4 times. And one of those times was at let's call it a major. So WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. Those to me are majors. And other shows are just kind of, I wouldn't call them minors, but they're pay-per-views with less importance. So the IC title was only defended at one major. That was WrestleMania. Those other times were No Mercy, Great Balls of Fire, and Extreme Rules. 4 times. That's 4 pay-per-views that the IC title appeared at, out of, I don't even know how many pay-per-views the WWE have these days. I mean, granted, there's a roster split, and some pay-per-views belong to certain brands, but regardless of that, I also did a bit of research. The US title was on 8 pay-per-views in 2017, double the amount of the IC. And it was at the big ones. It was at Royal Rumble. It was at WrestleMania. It was at Survivor Series. sorry, I'm not sure if this is Survivor Series or SummerSlam. I can't read my own writing. But either way, it was at 3 of the big ones, and then a whole host of other kind of smaller ones. So I'm not sure why the IC title is kind of just not being given the same kind of workmanlike mentality that the US title is being given. And I mean, to me, it may have something to do with the fact they keep putting it on the same people over and over again. Like The Miz. Man, I know people like The Miz. He's good at talk. He's got all that. He can talk, but he's an average wrestler at best. Average wrestler. I can't pick out more than 1 or 2 Miz matches that I've been like, wow, that was a game changer. Even Roman Reigns has much more interesting matches than The Miz. I would sooner they put the belt on Reigns than put it on Miz, because Miz seems to defend it like about as often as Brock Lesnar defends his titles, and it's far less interesting a spectacle to look forward to. Like, I would just as soon they kind of gave the belt, well, this is ideal scenario talking, I would much rather they gave the belt to people they had some faith in, like next level guys, not next level, but level down guys that they thought could use some elevation and a push towards a bigger spotlight. I mean, just off the top of my head, you look at people like, let's say Samoa Joe, let's say Braun Strowman, boy, who else? Cesaro would be a great Intercontinental champion if he could ever just shake off the huge weigh down of Sheamus. Like, there's plenty of people that they could take this belt to. Even Apollo Crews. Like, I know people sleep on him for the right reasons, but he's got talent, and I'm sure if he was given some sort of opportunity, he could shine in that manner. Like, an IC title would give him the kind of spotlight that he's sorely lacking, and the kind of elevation that might actually make a star out of him. Like, we've never really seen the best of Apollo Crews, so if that was the opportunity that he had, he may seize it by the nuts and be one of the better IC champions in recent memory. Those kind of opportunities seem scarce now. The IC title isn't used in that way. It's coveted even often by The Miz, and The Miz, like I say, he doesn't need it. He's good on the mic, and that's what he's got. He's a mic guy, and he doesn't need a title to back that up. I'm sure it's a good kind of catalyst for his promos, but I would rather have a guy who was fighting with the belt, putting on decent matches, and a half decent mic worker, rather than a guy who's good on the mic but doesn't really defend the belt, and when he does, his matches aren't particularly awe-inspiring. Yeah, I think that's about all of the point that I was trying to make. These are, as you can probably tell, going to be quite short shows. Like, I'm just trying to make a very succinct and somewhat researched point. I put my research on a post-it note there. So, yeah, the IC title, they need to do something more with. And by the way, putting IC title holders in World Championship matches, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Come on. Having The Miz in the Elimination Chamber, what? Why? Like, we know he's not going to win it. He's the IC champion. There's no way you're going to make him a double champ at WrestleMania. That's nonsense. Just give him an IC title match against somebody. Make that another aspect of that pay-per-view that's worth watching. We don't need IC champions in world title pictures. We need IC champions defending their IC championship. So, get away with that shit. Get away with that shit. That's my closing point. Get away with that shit. IC championship, make it more of a focal point, more of a workhorse belt. The Raw belt, make it the Raw belt. I know people will probably argue, oh, it is the Raw belt, it gets defended on Raw a lot. But it kind of doesn't, does it? It happens sparsely, sporadically. It could happen more. As I mentioned, the pay-per-views, only at 4 pay-per-views this belt appeared at. Needs to appear at more. And we need to give it to more promising people. That's my closing point. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Extra Credit. Catch us on wrestlingcc.com. You can find our podcast there. And stay breezy. Well, that's not actually that's not a tagline or whatever, a slogan I'm going to use. That was just stupid. Bye. Bye.